Ahmadiyyah done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't here for my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all in Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get mad. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat.
This is the sound of Erika Kirk.
It's a cut on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine, you son. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans, and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine, you son. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? All right, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your daily vitamin. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, please forgive me for being so late. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, I'm so sorry. I had 1,000 things going on. Okay, so that all being said, let's see who all is in here. Mel, Perplex, Desmond, all right, Donna, D Major, all right, Andrea is in the house. Let's get into it. Everybody hit that like button. Panther Strike, Diddy in Dallas, Vince, I am from the UK, Leon, all right. So with that all being said, and without further ado, let's have a brief word from my sponsor so we can get into it, because, beloveds, we have a lot to discuss. Okay?
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so don't forget to purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Okay, just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's get into it. Okay, so first things first. You all know that Diddy is supposed to be sentenced on October the 3rd. Okay, and so some of his victims, Cassie, Deontay Nash, have written letters to the judge to get him to stay in prison or in jail and to make sure that he gets as much time as possible. Now, the prosecution wants him to get 11 years. So we're going to get into it. Now, first off, these letters that were written, I'm only going to read Cassie's. I don't want to get caught up in this. I'm really tired of this Diddy stuff. I'll be glad when the sentencing is done so we can move on past it. But nonetheless, I'm going to read Cassie's letter. Okay, and then I want to talk about Charlie Kirk and Erika Kirk, because let me ask you all this. One's in the chat. If you all remember, y'all have short memory spans. Okay, we all do. I guess when it comes to social media, no less. But once in the chat, if you remember me telling you guys shortly after Charlie Kirk's death that I had some information on Miss Erika Kirk, that I wasn't sure if it was true or not, but I did have some nefarious information on her, and I was going to wait and tell you all, and I left you all with a cliffhanger. Who remembers that? Once in the chat. Who remembers that? Reggie said, I know I do. I know you remember, Reggie. Okay, so you all remember. Okay, so here's the thing. Now other people have started coming out and talking about exactly what I was talking about. See, I didn't want to be the first one because I felt like, it's too soon. This man just died. What do I look like going in on his poor little wife who's grieving? At least that's what people would say, right? So I just kept it to myself. But now other people are saying it because they're going down that rabbit hole. So here's the thing. They're saying that Erika Kirk was tied to an organization that was involved with trafficking. Okay, yeah, that's it. So we're going to talk about that. Okay, we're going to talk about that. And mind you, this is all alleged and some other strange behavior that she's been called out on. We're going to get into it. Also, we're going to look at some video footage of Charlie getting flamed. Okay, flamed and getting caught in lies. Okay, being completely exposed. Now, with that all being said, that'll be after we talk about this Diddy stuff. And we got to go in on Trump real quick because Trump is just, oh my gosh, I can't even get into it right now. I have to show you the receipts. Okay, so with that all being said, let's get into Cassie's letter. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. And here's what it says. Let me just share this on the screen. Perplex says, show enough what I heard, Queen. Y'all are so messy. Okay, y'all are so darn messy. Reggie said, Black people are the most compassionate, empathetic people on the planet. I know, right? Because I couldn't stand Charlie Kirk. But at the end of the day, I felt like, it's too soon. I don't want to go in on his wife. Let some time pass. Okay, but anyway. Let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen so we can read this letter, honey, and see what Cassie has said to the judge. And it's likely a remix of what she already said in court. I haven't read any of these letters. I've been busy running errands and just working all day. Okay, so let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. All right, so here's what we have. Dear Judge Subramanian, I have been in a cycle of thought and then overthought writing this letter to you. Now, if there is one thing I have learned from this experience, it is that victims and survivors will never be safe. Although I can hope for justice and accountability, I have come to not trust anything. I hope that your decision considers the truths at hand that the jury failed to see. Let me just stop right here. Okay? Because I want you all to pay attention because me and a friend earlier were discussing, now though I haven't read this letter, but my friend was saying, girl, when you read the letter, tell me if you think Cassie wrote it. Because I think her lawyer, Douglas Wigder, wrote it. Well, here's the thing. I'm pretty sure he did. Okay? I didn't even have to read it to think that because when we were at the trial in New York, and they called for letters for the judge, to see if Diddy should get bail or whatever after he was acquitted of the most serious charges. Well, those letters came out pretty quick. And I thought that Douglas wrote them then because he was in the courtroom that day. How easy would it be for him to just go down the street to his office or wherever it's located and just whip these letters up? And I think that's exactly what happened then. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened now. Mind you, this is all speculation. I can't verify it, but we all know that Cassie wasn't that smart, isn't that smart. Okay? All right. At 19, she's hanging out with Diddy and Ryan Leslie. She wasn't going to college or anything. And not to say you have to go to college to be smart, but I'm just saying, listening to Cassie talk, we know good and well she doesn't string words together like this. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Now, for 4 days in May, while 9 months pregnant with my son, I testified in front of a packed courtroom about the most traumatic and horrifying chapter in my life. I testified that from age 19, Sean Combs used violence, threats, substances, and control over my career to trap me in over a decade of abuse. Well, that's not actually what she testified to in court. I'm going to stop right here. That's not what she testified to in court. She didn't say this happened when she was 19. Does anybody remember? She said this happened when she was 21. She said the first time she hooked up with Diddy for a sneaky link behind Ryan Leslie's back was on her 21st birthday when she flew to Miami to be with Diddy on a yacht, and they had relations and made a fake flyer to give to Ryan Leslie so he'd think that she had a performance. Y'all remember that?
Okay, y'all remember that? Okay, Panther Strike said, Cassie, child, you got paid, so shut the F up. Okay, but let me continue. So then goes on to say, Sean Combs used violence, threats, substances, and control over my career to trap me in over a decade of abuse. See, that further lets me think that her lawyer absolutely wrote it, because Cassie knows that she was 21 the first time she started messing around with Diddy, according to her own words. Her lawyer, however, might forget because she actually was introduced to Diddy at the age of 19 by Ryan Leslie, her then boyfriend. I just want y'all to pay attention. See, I don't miss anything. Monty said this letter is suspicious. Of course it is. Okay. Ha! Mark Jackson, go in on her, Queen. Please, I beg of you. Heather Strike said, sure did, Queen. Okay, so let's continue. So then goes on to say, and then here's the thing. I want to let y'all know something. Now, I wasn't going to say anything about this because I didn't hear the person say it myself. But a friend of mine also called me and said that fake Nancy Drew is over there on her channel trying so hard to convince people that she didn't lie during the trial, and actually saying that everybody else was the ones who's telling lies. Okay, and in fact said that we were spreading propaganda and misinformation because we think Diddy's going to get off. Well, what does thoughts or your opinions and views have to do with spreading lies, misinformation, or any of that, or propaganda? I would just think that's just how people feel. She, on the other hand, blatantly told lies, was not even in the courtroom much of the time, but was outside in the courtyard making up lies to her people. Now, I would challenge any of her people to go get her lives and track them alongside transcripts of what actually was said in the courtroom and see if it matches. And I'm sure it won't. She's calling everybody else liars. When did Diddy's trial end? Wasn't that months ago? Why is she still trying to prove that she's not a liar who lies? Everybody already knows at this point. Now, her subscribers don't care because her subscribers only want to hear foolish gossip and nothing that, is factual. They don't care if it's lies or not. See, that's the thing. You have to pay attention, beloveds, because people who love gossip, do they really care about truth and facts? No, because gossip is just rumors. Okay, and speculation most of the time. So people who listen to celebrity gossip, they don't really care about the truth for the most part. They just want to hear stuff that sounds salacious. And that's what she talks about. Okay, but to say other people, who are telling the truth are lying just because it didn't turn out the way she wanted, and the fact that she's still babbling about it all these months later just shows that she's still butthurt and bent out of shape and calling us degenerates and all of that. But let me continue. At least I don't wear dry arse wigs. But let's continue. Now, with that all being said, she goes on to say that while 9 months pregnant with my son, I testified in front of a packed courtroom about the most traumatic and horrifying chapter in my life. I testified that from age 19, Sean Combs used violence, threats, substance, and control over my career to trap me in over a decade of abuse. She was trapped or she chose to stay because of the money. Okay, please make it all make sense. Girl, you wasn't trapped. You could have left at any time. Funny thing is, she did eventually leave. And just like she eventually lost or left, she could have left at any time prior to that. Okay, had she really wanted to. Now, he groomed me into performing repeated S acts with hired male S workers during multi-day freak-offs, which occurred nearly weekly. I was forced into lingerie and heels, told exactly how to look, and plied with rugs and alcohol so he could control me like a puppet. These events were degrading and disgusting, leaving me with infections, illnesses, and days of physical and emotional exhaustion before he demanded it all again. S acts became my full-time job, used as the only way to stay in his good graces. Well, according to the S workers that are suing her for $10 million, that's not how it all went down. Because they said, specifically the one named Dave, said that Cassie was having relations with him behind Diddy's back. And they were always hooking up, and in fact that he got her pregnant. Okay, but let me continue. Okay, so now I testified that I learned to read Sean Combs' signals, knowing that when he spoke of freak-offs, he was demanding them, and that refusing meant punishment, losing my car, my phone, or worse. How about just pay for your own phone or car? That way you don't have to worry about somebody taking it. Yikes. He controlled every part of my livelihood and threatened to destroy my reputation by leaking S-tapes, a threat he repeated often. His power over me eroded my independence and was not sufficiently responsive. He also threatened people around me and those close to me, including my family. I regularly worried that displeasing him meant putting my family and friends' safety at risk. I testified how beyond these threats, Sean Combs frequently used violence to get his way. Over the nearly 11 years we were together, Sean Combs would hit me, punch me, stomp on my face, pull my hair, and throw my body to the ground and against the wall. The jury saw pictures of bruises on my back from Sean Combs kicking me and saw the deep gash over my eye he caused when he slammed me into a bed frame. The entire courtroom watched actual footage of Combs kicking and beating me as I tried to run away from a freak off in 2016. People watched this footage dozens of times, seeing my body thrown to the ground, my hands over my head hurled into a fetal position to shield me from the worst blows. This physical violence caused bruises that makeup artists paid for by Sean Combs would cover up, as well as permanent scars all over my body. Funny thing is, she allegedly was still dealing with Diddy right before he went to jail. Y'all know that, right? Didn't I tell y'all that months ago? Remember when I told you guys I had some information on Cassie that I wasn't going to tell y'all until after the trial was concluded? Did I ever tell y'all what it was? That's what it was. That it was told to me by a very reliable source that, in fact, Cassie was still dealing with Diddy, still not messing around with him, but still talking to him at least. Or he went to jail. So I find it all interesting. Okay. I find it all interesting. Reg said, yeah, she was on the phone with him. Okay. All right, exactly. So now goes on to say, during my time with Combs, I was in a constant state of hypervigilance. Now we know Cassie didn't write this letter. As I was always anticipating demands for S-acts or otherwise fearing retribution of any perceived slight. My descent into substance abuse was directly correlated with his increased control over my body, my money, my freedom, and my free will. I used those rugs to push through the horrifying S-acts he demanded and to numb myself to the physical pain and emotional turmoil I was constantly in. While the defense attorneys at trial suggested that my time with Combs was akin to a great modern love story, nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing about this story is great, modern, or loving. This was a horrific decade of my life, stained by abuse, violence, forced sex, and degradation. Is that why she wanted him back? Is that why she was still messing around with him when she got with Alex? And why she lied and said that Diddy raped her because she went over and had relations with him and Alex was FaceTiming her and she ignored it? Is that why she went to see him at Kim Porter's funeral and then got upset because he said that Kim was his soulmate? And then she said, well, what were we for the 11 years? Okay, but let me continue. I spent the last 7 years of my life slowly rebuilding myself, physically getting clean from the rug abuse Sean Combs forced and encouraged. Really? Sean Combs forced and encouraged? Because I could have sworn at trial that they said that Diddy, and this was testified to, that Diddy, in fact, tried to stop her from taking all of those rugs. Okay, that her little friend was giving her a bunch of rugs, all right, and making money off of her because Cassie was buying the rugs that they were both using. Her and her friend. And that's how that whole incident that her friend lied about Diddy trying to throw her off the balcony, that's how that story all came to fruition or how it all came about, because she was explaining why Diddy came over there upset and accusing her of giving Cassie too many rugs. So now Diddy was forcing the rugs on her, or was she taking the rugs willingly? Okay. And also, let's not forget that it was also testified to in court that Cassie actually stole rugs from Diddy. But let me continue. With that all being said, goes on to say, the horrors I endured drove me to have thoughts of suicide, ones I almost followed through on, if not for my family's intervention and urging that I seek professional care. I have been to rehab and have taken part in dozens of types of therapy modalities to confront compartmentalize and cope with the horrific memories of sexual and emotional abuse I endured for nearly 10 years. Are y'all buying any of this? While what he did to me is always present, I am slowly learning how to live my life free from the fear and horrors I endured. And in doing so, am fully devoted to my husband and my children. Now, why do y'all think she had to bring that up? That she was fully devoted to her husband and her children? Why do y'all think she had to bring that up? To remind herself, to prove it to her husband? I have questions. What do y'all think? Reggie said he ain't buying it with an EBT card. And I'm not either, beloved. I'm not buying it either. Okay? I'm not buying it either. So anyway, let me continue. So anyway, goes on to say, I have I have been I have been to rehab and have taken part in dozens of types of therapy modalities to confront, compartmentalize, and cope with horrific memories of sexual and emotional abuse I endured for nearly 10 years. While what he did to me is always present, I am slowly learning how to live life free from the fear and horrors I endured. And in doing so, I am fully devoted to my husband and my children. I still have nightmares and flashbacks on a regular, everyday basis and continue to require psychological care to cope with my past. My worries that Sean Combs or his associates will come after me and my family is my reality. Girl, Diddy's sitting in jail, and if Diddy knows what's good for him, and I think that he does at this point, he's not coming after you or anybody else. Okay, please make it all make sense. I have in fact moved my family out of New York, out of the New York area, and am keeping as private and quiet as I possibly can because I am so scared that if he walks free, his first actions will be swift retribution towards me and others who spoke up against his abuse and trial. Do they think that this trial didn't have any impact on Diddy? Because that's what it's given. For her to be so stupid to sit here and say, even if, I mean, if she really thinks this, which I don't think that she does, but for her to even say that as soon as he gets out, he's going to come looking for her and others, so he can go right back to prison, go right back to jail. Because, of course, if anything happened to Cassie right after Diddy got out, don't we think that they would all absolutely be looking at him as the first person, to be a suspect? Mark Jackson, she's seeking attention at this point. Yes, she is. Okay, yes, she absolutely is. Timothy said, that's all cap. Girl, please sit down. Exactly. That's exactly what she needs to do. She sounds crazy. But let me continue. So then goes on to say, as much progress as I have made in recovering from his abuse, I remain very much afraid of what he is capable of and the malice he undoubtedly harbors towards me for having the bravery to tell the truth. Ah, her lawyer wrote this. Why would she say that about herself, that she had the bravery to tell the truth? His defense attorneys claim he is a changed man and he wants to mentor abusers. I know firsthand what real mentorship means, and this disgusts me. He is not being truthful. How do you know he's not being truthful? When's the last time you spoke to him? Oh, that's right. Right before he went to jail, allegedly. All right. So I know that who he was to me, the manipulator, the aggressor, the abuser, the trafficker, who he is as a human. Really? Because here's the thing. Now, I want you all to pay attention to how Cassie in this letter states that she's made so many changes and milestones in her recovery, her road to recovery from all of the abuse and the trauma and the rugs that she was involved in. She's changed, but Diddy couldn't have changed. Why is that? He's been talking to counselors and all of that too. Compliments of his attorneys. Okay. So with that all being said, if she's gone to rehab and gotten off of the illegal substances, she's gotten past the trauma. She's no longer whoring herself out as she was for money. Okay. And a good time and a lavish lifestyle. If she's no longer doing any of that, who's to say that Diddy isn't doing things better himself as well? Okay. But let me continue. So anyway, goes on to say, when I came out with my allegations in my civil case, he flatly denied them again and again. It was only after actual video footage corroborated the exact words of my civil complaint that he issued an insincere apology on the internet. Thanks to the footage of my testimony, this is also something he will forever be associated with. Just as well she'll forever be associated with Karens who lie on black men and accuse them of rape, just so their white husbands or boyfriends don't find out that they were sleeping with a black man, because that's what she did. We all know. We were there in court. Okay, so for over a decade, Sean Combs made me feel powerless and unimportant, but my experience was real, horrific, and deserves to be considered. While the jury did not seem to understand or believe that I exchanged or that I engaged in freak-offs because of the force and coercion the defendant used against me, I know that is the truth. And his sentence should reflect the reality of the evidence and my lived experience as a victim. Well, actually, it shouldn't. You see, because the quality of the evidence was not great. That's why he was not convicted of the trafficking, okay, and the RICO. All right. So the evidence wasn't that great. And as far as her reality, well, here's the thing. Perception is reality. So we all have our own views of what reality for us exactly is. And clearly, the jury didn't think that she had the reality of an S trafficking victim. Okay, they didn't buy her story, and neither did I. But let's continue. And here's another thing. Why should Diddy's sentence have anything to do with any of that when he wasn't, convicted of it? So, reliving in detail the events and truths described throughout the trial in this letter causes me tremendous emotional pain. I am trying with all that I am to move on. I hope that your sentencing decision reflects the strength it took for victims of Sean Combs to come forward. I hope that your decision considers the many lives that Sean Combs has upended with his abuse and control. I thank you for your time and attention. Cassandra Ventura Fine. All right. So what do y'all have to say about this? What do y'all, D Matrix said, girl, sit down somewhere. That's what I'm saying. Hey, this is all cap, all BS. Mark Jackson, they're probably doing freak offs with Murad and Tisa, LOL. Murad and Tisa. I am so done. Okay, so anyway, there it is. My opinion is Cassie's a liar who lies. She's still lying. I think her attorney wrote that letter. He likely reached out to her, told her that they needed a victim impact statement to try to keep him in there. I'll write it for you or get someone at the office to do so. Douglas likely didn't do it himself specifically because he's too busy, I'm sure. But he likely got his paralegal or somebody to write this. This is not Cassie's words. This is not how she speaks. Okay, I heard her testifying. She doesn't sound this eloquent. Trust me when I tell you. Okay, so with that all being said, we'll see how it all turns out because, Diddy will be getting sentenced October the 3rd. Now, the laws that he was, the crimes that he was convicted of, the Mann Act violations, are rooted in racism. And if Judge Arun Subramanian doesn't want people to think that he's a whole racist, he might want to give Diddy a fair sentence, is all I'm saying. Okay? Because he's looking real racist right now. He was biased for the prosecution the whole time. The prosecution sat there and lied in court, and he knew they were lying. Okay, I'm calling a spade a spade. He knew they were lying. And at the end of the day, he's showed extreme bias against Diddy, in my opinion, not giving that man a bail at any given moment, denying him 4 times when there's murderers who get bail. The absolute killers. Okay, PDF fights and all of the above get bail. So, but Diddy couldn't get bail because he's so dangerous, right? $50 million he offered, still couldn't get bail. Yeah, miss me with it. The judge doesn't want people to think that he's racist, does he? Because that's exactly what we're all going to think if he gives Diddy those 11 years that the prosecution is asking for. Because here's why. All of the cases that I showed you all that refer to the Mann Act violations, when the person got 11 or got 10 years, which is the maximum, but of course, due to the judge's discretion, they can make it even higher. There was one person that I talked to you about, that pastor. Okay, he was grooming a 16-year-old and having relations with her outside of state lines, across state lines. Now, he was given 144 months, 12 years. Okay, and that was because the judge looked at him, as you're supposed to be a man of God. You're supposed to be someone who's counseling this young person, but you abused your position of power and you took advantage of them and manipulated them and used them for your own personal gain. And so that's why he got that kind of time. Now, Diddy didn't even really do anything that's against the Mann Act if we really want to keep it a buck and really go by the letter of the law. Okay, so if he gives Diddy those 11 years, that'll tell us a whole lot about Judge Arun Subramanian. All right, now let's get into this whole Charlie Kirk debacle. Like some, everyone, please like and share. No, hold on. Before we go there, let's talk about Trump. Y'all, Trump is a fool, but y'all already knew that, right? Y'all already knew he was a damn fool, but let's talk about the soybeans and the leaked text message, okay? Because Trump's out here, using these tariffs as a weapon, so he thinks, and whatnot. And now China has gotten tired of his bullish, and so to get retribution or payback, to get their lick back on the U.S. and Trump, they've decided to no longer buy soybeans from the United States. And guess who's going to suffer? The farmers. Okay, the farmers. So let's talk about it. White House is in a bind as soybean sales to China plummet to 0. It's a darn shame. Now they're purchasing from Argentina. A photographer snapshot of Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent at the United Nations General Assembly last week revealed a private message that captured the Trump administration's deepening concern over collapsing U.S. soybean exports to China, a crisis now entangled with the controversial economic bailout of Argentina. Saying, finally, just a heads up, I'm getting more intel, but this is highly unfortunate. Now, this is the message, okay? Hold on, let me make sure, is this the leaked message? Because I think it is. Hold on, beloveds. Okay, yeah, that's something else talking about ICE. Okay, we're going to get into that too. Okay, so anyway, goes on to say, just giving the heads up. I'm getting more intel, but this is highly unfortunate. Okay, that's what their message read, which appeared to be sent from Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins, saying, we bailed out Argentina yesterday, Bessent, and in return, the Argentines are removing their export tariffs on grains, reducing their price, and sold a bunch of soybeans to China at a time when we would normally be selling to China. Soy prices are dropping further because of it. This gives China more leverage over us. Rollins then added, saying, on a plane, but Scott, I can tell you when I land. Yeah, this is a text message. I'm sitting here. This is a text message as well. How many text messages of his got leaked? But anyway, the photo taken by by Angelina Casanis for the Associated Press quickly circulated across social media, particularly in Argentina, where soybean exports have indeed surged in the wake of new economic aid from the U.S. I want y'all to pay attention. This is all egregious. Trump is dragging this country straight to hell. I just keep telling you all. Now, the missive has also drawn new scrutiny to the Trump administration's pledge to support Argentina with a possible $20 billion swap line and direct U.S. purchases of government debt. Days after the deal, Chinese importers brought more than 1 million metric tons of Argentine soybeans just as the American harvest season began. Now, they say this is a five-alarm fire for our industry. This is what Caleb Ragland, a Kentucky farmer and president of the American Soybean Association, in an interview with the Associated Press said, saying that we've had your back, President Trump. We need you to have ours now. This is all sad because he's not going to have their back. Trump is only going to have the backs of his billionaire buddies. He doesn't care about the American people, just the regular everyday people, the 9-to-5 Joe Schmoes. He doesn't care about them, and any of those Karens either. Okay, who walk around with their MAGA hats. He doesn't give a damn about those people, and it's high time they realize that. So, no buyers in Beijing. China, once the largest buyer of American soybeans, has not purchased a single shipment since May. And this is according to U.S. Department of Agriculture's data. Okay, so in 2024, China bought 12.5 billion of the 24.5 billion worth of soybeans the United States exported globally, more than 50%. Okay, now for months, the figure has been zero. I want y'all to think about that. From $12.5 billion to zero? Soybeans account for 14% of all U.S. agricultural exports, making them the top food export by value. Farmers and trade officials say the loss of the Chinese market is not only destabilizing current revenues, but also threatening the long-term viability of American farms built to meet Chinese demand. Saying we cannot replace a China in one shot. This is what Iowa farmer Rob Edwalt, a director with the United Soybean Board, said it's not going to happen. We need to be realistic in that. Well, the last thing Trump is realistic. Farmers are already facing storage shortages as corn and soybeans stack up with no clear buyer. Each week, the Agricultural Department publishes a summary of the latest exports of American crops. Lately, they have all been missing the same thing, the sale of soybeans to China. Now, the New York Times reported this last week, saying overall U.S. soybean exports are down 23% year over year. Farmers are suffering terrible losses, says Jennifer Faye, the co-director or co-executive director at Farm Aid, a nonprofit organization advocating for farmers. Okay, and basically told Newsweek, adding that these are not economic blips, but potentially long-term or permanently lost markets due to ricocheting tariffs. Now, they, meaning the farmers, of course, are telling us they're losing $100 to $200 an acre this year. China, meanwhile, has turned decisively towards South America. Chinese companies have secured 12 million metric tons of soybeans from Brazil and Argentina for delivery through October, entirely skipping U.S. suppliers during their primary marketing window. This is a darn shame. These poor farmers are just out here struggling thanks to Trump's foolishness. But I told y'all, you heard it here first, back in January, right after the election. Or right after the inauguration, I told you all about Trump and his nefarious tariffs. I did a whole PowerPoint breaking it all down and telling you all we were going to be right here. And guess what? Now, here we actually are. China's heavy Q3 soybean purchases suggest the industry has built up inventories ahead of potential Q4 supply risk. This is what Wang Wenxing, an analyst at Subline China Information, in an interview with Reuters, had to say. Now, even with U.S. soybeans trading $40 per ton cheaper than Brazilian cargoes, Beijing's 34% tariff makes them uncompetitive. A growing number of farmers are now bracing for what they describe as a second wave of losses, unless negotiations yield a breakthrough, which I highly doubt at this point. Okay, because you listen, China has been going back and forth with Trump for months now, and they're just over it and sick of him. Okay, he thought he was going to come and strong arm people, thought he was going to bully people, and everybody's just going to bow and bend to his will. I mean, he's so stupid. He didn't think that people are going to strike back in furious fashion to teach his dumb self a lesson. We're going to take some of the tariff money, relatively small amounts, but a lot for the farmers. And we're going to help the farmers out a little bit. That's what Trump said last week, acknowledging the predicament with a voting bloc that heavily skews Republican. Yet no formal plan has been announced, and he appeared to confuse millions and billions when describing the potential aid. Do y'all hear this? This fool appeared to confuse millions and billions. You know, I'm not surprised, because anybody who's dumb enough to not know the difference between political asylum and a mental asylum, okay, is clearly a fool. And that's what Trump is. Many farmers remain skeptical of another bailout. While Trump has said tariff revenue could be returned to farmers soon, those same tariffs are already driving up the cost of essentials like fertilizer, pesticides, herbicides, and still raising prices, okay, on everything from crop inputs to machinery, okay, to steel as well. And this raising prices on everything. They said, we don't want aid payments. This is what Brian Warpup, a fourth generation farmer in Indiana, told the AP. He said, we want to work. The worst thing we could ever want is a handouts. Kentucky's Ragland said this, and see, here's the thing, and I don't blame him. You see, the government giving them a handout, a bailout, or whatever. Okay, now you have to become dependent, okay, upon the governments, rather than self-sufficient, which they've absolutely been as long as they had China purchasing the soybeans from the U.S. Kentucky's Ragland said his priority is a long-term trade solution, saying our priority remains seeing the United States secure lasting trade agreements, particularly with China, that allow farmers to sell their crops and build a sustainable future with long-term customers, he said. The crisis is rooted in China's strategy for using soybean purchases as leverage in trade negotiations. That's why China is targeting soybeans and other agricultural products, says Jim Sutter, the CEO of the U.S. Soybean Export Council. I didn't know they had all these soybean, soybean councils, administrations, commissions. I didn't know they had all these soybean companies, or not companies, boards, or no less. Okay. Norma X said, correction, they want illegal immigrants to work. Yeah, they definitely do want that, beloved. Definitely do. But the immigrants stimulate the economy. Some of y'all don't want to believe that, but it's true. Okay, so anyway, it goes on to say, hold on, pop-ups. Okay, so anyway, the crisis is rooted in China's strategy of using soybean purchases as a leverage in trade negotiations. That's why China is targeting soybeans and other agricultural products. Now, while efforts are underway to expand other markets, Taiwan has pledged $10 billion in U.S. agricultural purchases over 4 years. The scale of China's demand will be difficult to match. Domestic uses such as biodiesel and animal feed are helping absorb the glutes, but only incrementally. So, Senate Majority Leader John Thune acknowledged that farmers will need federal support, saying we've got a big harvest coming in and no place to go with it. That's what he told NBC News. They're anxious. They want to see markets go up. For now, as soybeans ripen in the fields of Magnolia, Kentucky, and across the Midwest, farmers are left watching South American exports replace them and hoping that someone in Washington answers Roland's call or text to action. Let me tell y'all something. Do you all see what a disaster? You all see what a disaster Trump has caused, right? Please tell me y'all see it. Please tell me it's making sense to you what this man is doing. Okay, Greta said 4 hours to government shutdown. There's definitely going to be a government shutdown. Okay, there's definitely going to be a government shutdown. Absolutely. Look at this. U.S. soybean sales to China. Look how the scales, look how this graph is just going down. Okay. Look at this. Just terrible. Okay. And here's what people are saying. Do they think the economy is better or worse? Some are saying it's better, 30%. They must be delusional. Some are saying worse. More than half the people are saying it's worse, and it absolutely is. There's no denying it. Okay, even Stephen Wonder can see this is truth, and this is the case. Some say it's the same, 18%. It's definitely not the same. It's definitely not the same. And everything that Trump is doing is for the benefit of his billionaire buddies, not for the regular Americans. Okay, text messages reveal Trump and Oregon governors' conflicting views on Portland protest. So, text messages between U.S. President Donald Trump and Oregon Governor Tina Kotek this weekend showed there is widespread confusion over what has happened or what has been happening outside the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility in Portland. They say the ICE facility in Portland was attacked again last night. Let me just show you all these text messages. ICE is probably going to keep getting attacked when they're out here acting like a whole gang, beating up people and throwing them to the ground and all that. What do they expect? Okay. They know we have a lot of crazy people out here that'll take matters into their own hands, right? Now, here's what they say. Governor, the ICE facility in Portland was attacked again last night. In fact, it and other federal buildings are being attacked on a nightly basis. We can't have this. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. And then the response is received. I know he has a busy schedule today. We'll try calling him later. Thanks. Thank you. Now, messages obtained through a records request by Coin 6 News, KOIN, show that the governor said she would try calling him later and his assistant thanked her. But in the next message, Governor Kotek said she had just learned that troops had been called to Portland. Okay. Like World War II, Trump talks Portland during address to military leaders. I just received your notice to mobile the Oregon National Guard outside of my control. I believe this is unlawful and unwarranted. This is what Kotek said in the next text. Here it is. Okay, I believe this is unlawful and unwarranted. You broke your promise to speak with me before taking further action against Portland. I will be in touch later. Governor Tina Kotek. I notified you to get things in order and you didn't. They attacked our ICE patriots last night and at other times. If you get your state in order, we don't come in. But everyone knows that Portland has been an unmitigated disaster for years. I won't let that happen in America. President DJT. Y'all heard that? Trump's not playing games. Ha! So anyway, that all being said, text messages between Governor Kotek and senior staff members show they also checked with Portland police, who were only aware of one misdemeanor arrest. There was also a report of a laser pointer aimed at a helicopter. Now, as the news reported, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Portland Division, announced Monday afternoon that 4 undocumented immigrants were detained after one of them allegedly pointed a laser at a Customs and Border Protection helicopter Saturday night. Honey, Trump is just out here just causing all kinds of chaos, out here lying to governors, okay? Out here lying to governors. I've been telling the lady one thing and then doing another, just going right behind her back and doing whatever the hell he wants. And I'm not surprised. Okay, I am absolutely not surprised because this is who Trump is, the devil himself. Okay, make no mistake. Trump is only suiting his own interest. Now, if you thought that was something interesting, how many of you heard about Eric Adams dropping out of the mayoral race? Y'all heard about that? I hadn't reported on it. I meant to, but got sidetracked. So this fool dropped out, abandoned his reelection bid, and I thought, oh, wonder why he did that. Sounds suspicious. I immediately thought it was very suspicious. And now I know why. Because check this out. D. Major said, did you see Trump and Hegseth military speech today? Ooh, I'm glad you brought that up. Let me go to that. Let me see if I can find that, beloved. Okay, here it is right here. Lay out military policy and plans. Okay, so we'll go to that in a moment. But hold on, because Eric Adams dropped out. And so guess what? This might be why. Let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Sharon said Babylon has fallen. Yep, and if it hasn't fallen completely, it's damn sure on the way down. Okay, please pay attention.
So Eric Adams just dropped out of the race. And in a few weeks, you're going to hear that he took a 7-figure job with a major real estate developer. And I'm sure it's going to be a total coincidence. Yeah.
Y'all heard that? Y'all heard that, right? Honey, when I tell you these people are something else, Eric Adams, is that why you dropped out? Okay, somebody greasing palms behind closed doors, no less. Let me just look into it and see. You know, the reason Trump wanted Eric Adams to drop out was to help him. Okay? Was to help him. Because he really wants, hold on, or what he doesn't want. He doesn't want Zohran Mamdani to ever be the mayor. Okay? He's got his own pick in mind. Now let's talk about it real quick. Trump bashes Zohran Mamdani after Eric Adams drops out of New York mayor's race. So President Donald Trump on Monday bashed New York City mayoral race frontrunner Zohran Mamdani and renewed a threat to withhold federal funding from the Big Apple if the Democratic nominee wins. So do y'all hear this? This fool that y'all call a president is threatening to withhold funds because the person that he doesn't like, if they win the election. Isn't this crazy? Okay, where's the democracy in that? Trump's rant came a day after Mayor Eric Adams said that he is suspending his campaign after pressure from the president, mind you, and others to quit the race to improve former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's chances of beating Mamdani in November. That's who Trump wants to be the mayor, Andrew Cuomo. And if you think that Eric Adams just bowed out gracefully just for this to go down, he didn't. What that man said about him getting a 7-figure payment, yeah. But very likely, okay, very likely, okay? He didn't just leave for nothing. They had to pay him very nicely, I'm sure. Of course, this is all speculation. I can't prove it. They say self-proclaimed New York City communist Zohran Mamdani, who is running for mayor, will prove to be one of the best things to ever happen to our great Republican Party. This is what Trump wrote on Truth Social. You know, I hope that this man wins. I don't know anything about this man, Mamdani. I'm going to do some research on him, but I hope he wins. just because Trump doesn't like him. Okay, I hope he wins so that all that money that was paid to Eric Adams to drop out, allegedly, is wasted. Okay? I hope he absolutely wins. With that all being said, he's going to have problems with Washington like no mayor in the history of our once great city. This is what Trump said. Remember, he needs money from me and as president in order to fulfill all of his fake communist promises. He won't be getting any of it. So what's the point of voting for him? Like y'all, I really don't believe what I'm reading. I really don't believe this is the world we're living in. Am I being punked? Did I wake up in the Twilight Zone? What the hell's going on here? What in the world is going on here? Donald Trump is a madman at the wheel. Okay? D. Major said that's basically blackmail. It's threats included. Vince I am said, Queen, you better consult the ancestors. You know what? I'm going to have to. I am absolutely going to have to, beloved. Y'all know the ancestors I'll be playing games. But let me continue. This is all crazy. So what's the point of voting for him? Like, he really thinks that he can just do stuff like this and say, well, I just won't give them any money. So therefore, he can't fulfill any of his campaign promises. So why would you vote for him anyway? I'm not going to let him do anything. Yeah, that's what this man thinks. Trump needs to be escorted out of the White House with a pair of those free silver bracelets that they give you when they send you to Club Fed. Mandani, who is a self-described democratic socialist, not a communist, bested Cuomo in the Democratic primary. Cuomo is running as an independent, as was Adams. Now, the Republican nominee, Curtis Sliwa, has refused to drop out despite the pressure from Trump and entreaties from others. He might as well drop out, honey. Trump's going to make his life a living hell. And he's not going to win anyway, because I never heard of him. And if I never heard of him, chances are neither have many other people, okay? Because I'll be all up and through politics. Now, with that being said, it's going to be between Mandani and Cuomo. And I really hope that he wins. Okay? Anybody that Trump likes is just nefarious as far as I'm concerned. Now, let's continue. So due to Trump getting Medicaid to give tax cuts to himself, mind you, and his fellow billionaires, senior citizens are about to be kicked out of their nursing homes. Did y'all know that? Y'all do know that people who live in nursing homes, it's usually paid for by Medicaid, unless they have family who has money or whatnot. But many of these people, majority of them, it's funded through Medicaid. And Trump wants to cut that. He wants to cut Medicaid, stop Medicaid from paying for nursing homes. Where are these people going to go in their elder years? What's he going to do? Put them on the streets and then arrest them for being homeless or euthanize them, as one of those stupid people on Fox News said? This is all a darn shame. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance.
Congratulations, MAGA. Your vote for Trump is the reason why senior citizens will be kicked out of their nursing homes. Before you flood my comment section screaming fake news, I'm going to provide some verifiable facts. Google's free. You can go look at the bill. 60% of nursing home residents rely on Medicaid to cover their care. That is a fact. And Trump's new tax plan, it cuts their provider tax by 41%. This slashes how much support states receive from the government for nursing homes. That's a 41% funding cut. That is a fact. The American Healthcare Association says that 1 in 4 nursing homes could shut down and half of their staff will be eliminated. That's a fact. So where do these senior citizens go? Some might have family to take them in, but for others, this is the end of the road. There's no place for them to go. This is what your vote for Trump is doing. It's pushing vulnerable seniors out of care and onto the streets. And that is a fact. This isn't America first. This is our elderly last. If you voted for Trump, you made this happen. I hate to say it. This is on you.
Ooh, I'm so glad I didn't vote for that idiot. Okay? I never have been able to forgive myself. Now, here's the news on his Nobel Peace Prize that he's not going to ever win. Thank God.
The Nobel Prize Committee just put out a statement telling Donald Trump, you're not winning a Nobel Peace Prize. Now, as you know, Donald Trump has been politicking hard for the Peace Prize. He has been making up and creating wars and then solving them in a desperate attempt to accomplish something that President Obama did. He has his supporters and his surrogates out there telling the world that Donald Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. Well, the deputy director of the Nobel Committee put out a statement saying, quote, influence campaigns are more likely to have a negative effect than a positive one. Some candidates push for it really hard, and we do not like that, unquote. That statement, while they don't say Donald Trump's name, is directed at Donald Trump. This is their way of telling Donald Trump, you're not going to get one. And it's not so much the pressure campaign. He doesn't deserve one anyways when you consider everything else he has to do. But here the Nobel Committee is telling Donald Trump, find something else to do on October 10th when we announce who wins the award, because we don't want to be responsible for the ketchup on the walls at Mar-a-Lago that day.
I heard that. Not responsible for the ketchup on the walls. What's he talking about? I think we can all figure it out. Okay, so that all being said, hold on. Let me make sure that's the last one I wanted to show before we get into this Charlie Kirk stuff. Oh, you all got to see this. This was hilarious. Now, Trump posted this. He is wrong for it. This is so racist.
Look, guys, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of shit, you know, at least for a while until they learn English and they realize they hate us too.
I am so done. Y'all see that? These people are a mess. They are a whole mess. Now, let's get into the fun stuff. Let's get into the fun stuff, honey, because I'll tell you what, these students at Cambridge really exposed Charlie Kirk. Now, remember how I was telling Marlon when we were having that, whatever you want to call it, I don't even want to call it a debate, but when I was telling him how Charlie Kirk was just a liar who lies. This man blatantly was lying, didn't know his facts, had no evidence, couldn't substantiate any claims, and made a fool of himself, okay? And then tried to argue as if he were angry because he got exposed. Let's get into it. Now, this is Charlie Kirk at Cambridge, and this is where he's arguing about Donald Trump's foreign policy, or basically talking about Qatar and the billions of dollars and all this, that, and the third. Okay, and this guy is calling Trump basically a scammer.
Can we just talk about 100 billions worth of weapons? Because you dodged my question on what was going on in the Middle East, where Trump has just signed enormous arms contracts with Saudi Arabia and with Qatar. And I noticed you ignored the fact that this might have had anything to do with the blatant corruption going on through the Trump coin and going on through giving the very competent sons of Donald Trump billions of investment from Saudi Arabia and Qatar. This is something that is directly embroiling Americans into conflict, but is importantly killing many innocent people. Those nations have been known to terrorize innocent civilian populations. So if you're coming to me and you're objecting to America selling weaponry, why are you defending shilling for the Saudis?
Well, hold on. One is sending weaponry, one is purchasing. Secondly, you do know that the biggest purchase that was announced was commercial airliners, 737, $100 billion. We've heard of Qatar Airways. They purchased $100 billion of commercial airways. You are right, there were some weapons contracts, but I guess the question is, would you rather have Saudi Arabia buy weapons from America or China?
I'd rather they not have American weaponry at cut price rates.
See, I disagree.
Let's talk about Qatar for a second.
Okay, fine.
You mentioned Qatar. You've been talking a lot about Hamas and the evils of Hamas. Can I ask you, who's the main funder of Hamas?
Well, the Palestine.
State?
Well, the West actually funds Hamas.
Which state?
Well, Iran funds.
No.
Also,
where are the Hamas leaders?
And also
where are the Hamas
Qatar
leaders?
funds Hamas.
Yes.
It is a combination
Is
of
this a state we
international
should
relief
have a
organizations.
400 million jet with the President of the United States
Well,
on it?
hold on. First of all, it was not given to him personally. I understand the optics of it, but it was not given to him personally. It was given to the U.S. government. And under that standard, no U.S. government should ever receive any gifts from any foreign countries whatsoever. It's not given to him personally and not a violation of the.
Why is he trying to transfer it to his personal library? He is.
Actually, okay, again, he sent out a statement. This is way too in the weeds. If you want to keep on going it, we can.
It's a fundamental moral principle.
Okay, so under that fundamental moral principle then, can you acknowledge, though, that President Trump is getting more done in a less period of time than any president we've seen, while our prior president did not even know what year he got elected? Do you agree that there's toxic femininity as well?
I mean, I think it's an unfair double standard.
Why?
Well,
how can femininity not be toxic if masculinity can?
I'm not saying they can't be. I think
Do we teach kids about toxic femininity in our schools? No, tell me yes or no.
I mean, I think that they come from two very different places. I think toxic masculinity comes from a level of misogyny, where I think toxic femininity often comes from a reaction to a misogynistic system which fundamentally oppresses and systematically oppresses women. And I'm not saying that toxic femininity is a good thing, but I'm saying it's a much more understood and valid reaction to a system of oppression versus toxic masculinity, which oppresses.
Okay. So even if I grant you that.
The second question is, how much harder does it get for you to do your job when we continue to have racist comedians on stages, especially like on the presidential stage? I feel like that's kind of ridiculous, but that's just me.
I mean, not really hard to do my job, but I mean, man, can you take a joke? I mean, like...
Well, I mean, like, I have no problem with taking a joke. You can put them on TV. I watch people make racist jokes all the time. I watch the Boondocks all the time. I have no problem with racist jokes, but I feel like on a presidential stage, we're supposed to be a little professional.
I agree with that.
We're supposed to be professional, so like, why are we making racist jokes?
Well, look, it's a comedian that was put up on stage. Yeah, what do you expect?
A presidential stage, though.
It was, again, it was like 4 hours before Trump arrived.
But we're not on a regular stage. Like, we're supposed to be respectful. We're projecting our country, and we're projecting racist jokes onto our country.
Yeah, I think you're overthinking it, to be perfectly honest with you.
No, when you have a president up there endorsing somebody making racist jokes.
Well, no, he didn't. No.
Millions of Americans.
Hold on a second. He disavowed it. He doesn't.
He's on the stage with Trump. That's endorsing it.
Hold on. Let's speak.
If he's on the stage,
hold on, guys.
on the stage.
Flamed. Okay, one word, flamed. That's what he got. Okay, did you see that? He lost pitifully. And he tried to make these asinine excuses and points saying that Trump he wasn't personally given that private jet. It was given to the government. Trump runs the government. Trump's the one who has to accept it. Okay, he should never have accepted it. All right, and that's what he did. He's trying to skirt Trump's accountability for that. Doesn't want to show Trump as being corrupt, but he is corrupt. Okay, and so are all of those in his circle, as far as I'm concerned. Now, let's go to the debate where he said that college was a whole scam.
If college is a scam, then DNA wouldn't have been discovered. With cancer research...
Yes, hold on a second. Yes, you're right. At this specific university, you guys split the atom. You had Sir Isaac Newton. You had some of the greatest minds of the West. I don't know about what's happening here, and I'm not going to criticize it. But at most colleges in the West, they've gone away from places of inquiry and appreciation of what is good and what is beautiful and into this incessant oppression Olympics of trying to deconstruct the core canon that is our birth certificate. I don't know if that's happening here. It's certainly...
That's not true, though.
In America, it is objectively true, okay?
That isn't true.
Again, no, first of all, they removed Western civilization as a core course in Stanford in the 1990s. They tried to bring it back with petitions, and the university said, no, teaching Western civilization is racist. Shakespeare is not taught at major... let me finish. Shakespeare is not taught at major universities across America because it's deemed as racist. I talked to some students earlier in the English department, and they said, hey, I'm studying Shakespeare. I said, that's refreshing because in a lot of U.S. schools, they don't teach Shakespeare because he's called racist. You would be surprised at how wretched to the core some of these colleges have become in America.
If you look at the Global Innovation Index, America, which is predominantly a lot of their majors are in humanities and liberal arts, they're number 2 on the Global Innovation Index. China is somewhere near 13. If you look at every metric, Fortune 1000 CEOs, 40% did humanities and liberal arts. There is a value in liberal arts, yet you're criticizing
Yes,
it.
and I'm going to keep on criticizing it. Also, the vast majority of liberal arts graduates do not respect freedom of speech. That is an empirical poll. They increasingly do not have reverence or gratitude for the United States of America. They don't care about the core values of the U.S. Constitution. If you want to go to college, that's fine. But in our country, 40% of kids that enter college do not graduate. The kids that do graduate, half of them end up getting jobs that do not require any sort of college degree. There are all these made-up degrees. In America, I know it's different than the experience you might be having here. Your tutoring system here is objectively great. I'm glad you guys have it. The class sizes in America are 400 to 500 students, sometimes per introductory course, to go hundreds of thousands of dollars into debt, study things that don't matter, to find jobs that do not exist. And so let me just make one final point, is that, of course, some people should be going to college. But generally in the United States of America, it has become a racket of debt. It has become a burden and a place where we're actually not putting our best and brightest into the job field itself to be equipped for the jobs of the future. Instead, we have a lot of baristas at Starbucks with philosophy degrees.
You also mentioned indoctrination. As per the Oxford Dictionary's definition of indoctrination, it means that you take a belief and you can't critically observe that belief. Turning Point USA has over 30,000 chapters, 3,000 chapters across US universities. So are you arguing that students, including conservatives, lack the critical thinking skills to sort of decide political ideologies, political beliefs, that they're so dumbfounded that they can't decide for themselves what's right and what's wrong, and that your whole premise is on the fact that students like us, we lack critical thought in deciding what is taught in schools?
Completely flamed. His whole argument was nonsensical and he was lying. He was absolutely lying as per usual. Okay, now he said that in colleges here in America, in most colleges, they do not teach Shakespeare. You all do know that I'm a college professor, right? You all do that. Of course you know that. So, and then he said that the college classes, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he just literally say that college classes have like 300 to 400 students? Is that what he said? Am I hearing things? Is that what he said? Somebody let me know. Didn't he just say that colleges in the US have like 300 to 400 students in the average class? That's a damn lie. I have 25 students. Okay. There's usually 20 to about 30 students, 35 max in a college class. On average, about 25 to 30. Okay. 300, 400. What the hell is he talking about? And here's the thing. And he said, Claudette said, that's what he said. Well, he's a liar. And also, he said that Shakespeare is not taught in school and colleges because they say it's racist. Why would they say Shakespeare is racist? You all do know that Shakespeare really didn't write that stuff, right? It was written by a Black woman. Okay, the credit was stolen. Okay, there's that. But for number one, at the end of the day, Shakespeare is taught in high school. We start reading about Romeo and Juliet. Right? Don't we learn that like in 9th and 10th grade, Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, and they even teach it in college. Okay, specifically if you're taking any sort of literature courses and whatnot, English literature programs, which I took when I was in college, I absolutely was reading Shakespeare. Okay, theater, drama departments, they're going to have Shakespeare. Creative writing and humanities courses, they're going to have Shakespeare. They're going to have Shakespeare. You know what, Charlie Kirk, I'm just over it at this point. Hold on, let me do a quick fact check. Okay, let me just do a quick fact check on this because I tell you the truth. This man was a liar who lies, and anybody who capes for him and denies that he was a liar is just a fool. Especially if you look like me, you're a bigger fool and also a raccoon.
You want me to bring the receipts? Do I need to bring the receipts, baby girl?
Let's bring the receipts because I'm willing to bet money that what I just told you all is absolute truth. Let's go to ChatGPT. Let's go to ChatGPT. I'm going to pull it up on the screen. This is all a hot mess. Make sure I put US. And let me put teach. Do they teach Shakespeare in colleges in the U.S.? Okay, y'all see that, right? It's too easy. It's too easy to debunk this man. I don't know why more people didn't take do their due diligence. Okay, my question was, do they teach Shakespeare in colleges in U.S.? The answer from ChatGPT says yes, Shakespeare is widely taught in colleges and universities in the U.S. This man sat here and lied. Okay, he said most colleges don't teach it because it's racist, all lies and BS. And let's see where they teach it. Here's how it typically shows up. English literature majors, did not say literature, okay, because I took it. That's when I read it. Most English programs require or strongly encourage courses on Shakespeare. Thank you. They absolutely do. Okay, they are often dedicated Shakespeare courses focusing on tragedies, comedies, histories, sonnets, and poetry. Right? Theater and drama departments, didn't I tell you? General education courses, graduate studies. Okay, I'm sorry. Say what? This man did not know what the hell he was talking about. He was just saying things, making up stuff. And here's the thing, too. What he would do, and I want you all to pay attention, because what he would do when someone was making a point that he couldn't debunk, he would try to stand on his square as if he would talk louder and more boldly, as if that makes what he's saying right. That's what he would do. Please pay attention, okay? That's what he would do. He would stand there and talk louder and bolder just to make it seem as if he knew what he was talking about, when in fact, he absolutely did not. Okay, now let's go to his abortion debate, because I want you all to hear what he said about DNA being created. Okay? Yeah. Creating DNA. I thought DNA came from the mother and the father. I didn't know you had to make it. But let's get into it.
And so I'm going to throw out the big A word. I know you get asked about it a lot, but I want to hear it from you. What your opinion is on abortion.
Life begins at conception.
But about abortion specifically. Why do you think abortion is wrong specifically?
Well, you agree murder is wrong?
I agree. Okay, so this is where we get to the question, right? Because what is it about murder you say is wrong? Like, why is murder wrong?
Well, because it's a human being, not just because it has consciousness or because it's of a certain age, because it's a human.
And what is it that gives human being this moral worth?
Not its consciousness necessarily.
I didn't say it's consciousness.
I know that. I can imagine it because it is a human being, because it has a soul.
And what is this soul? Where does this come from? This idea that it's...
Exactly. I mean, again, the Greeks postulated that it is the entirety of your being. Okay, you guys can laugh. I mean, it's true. I mean, every civilization has had a different belief, but agreed upon ethical monotheism, which is the creed of the West and what the birth certificate of my country articulates, is that every human being is more than just matter, it's more than just a clump of cells, but it also has an invisible element to you that will live beyond you.
Fine, so, I mean, can you say that comes from the Bible, or where else do you get that from?
Ethical monotheism, which is the creed of the West. And again, the Declaration of Independence mentions God 4 times. The founders were explicitly believed not in a secular morality, but a divinely given one, of at least this idea that there is a God and you are not him. And let me ask you, what is the first stage of human development?
So the first, I mean, this is the thing, right? We can take it from the sperm being generated in the father and the oocyte being generated in the mother, right? They fuse at birth, conception, sorry. The only thing that happens at conception is these 2 cells fuse.
Right? No, DNA is created. A zygote.
DNA is not created.
A DNA, no, that's not true. The DNA coding at the zygote. Hold on, time out. Does a zygote have a unique marker?
Charlie,
does a zygote have a unique marker?
You have to let me speak. You have to
answer it, yes or no. Does a zygote have a unique marker?
Define a unique marker.
Meaning, can you differentiate the DNA coding between the mother and the zygote if you examine it under a deoxyribonucleic acid analysis? Can you?
Only purely because the addition comes from the father.
Oh, so it is something different.
Charlie, DNA is not created. DNA is not created. You have, the father has his own genome, the mother has her own genome. They fuse. This is why you have the same characteristics, similar ones to your mother, similar ones to your father. That's why you have similar characteristics to your siblings. DNA is not created, right? So when you ask me, where does a human being come from? I can say to you, it starts at conception, but all conception is these 2 cells joining, right? But these 2 cells were created, the mother cells were created long before, they were created when she was a fetus. So there's none of this DNA being produced, right? So we can't establish, the only thing that happens at conception is these 2 cells fuse. Now this idea that means that for some reason suddenly that moral worth comes in, but it wasn't there before when you had these 2 cells who had half the DNA. But suddenly there's a
correct. Yes, something magical happens at that.
It's not magical, Charlie. We know about this.
Well, hold on.
Charlie.
Time out. Hold on.
I promise you, I'm not trying to score points. I'm not trying to score points on you. This is genuine.
We call it the miracle of life for a reason. We've not been able to yet replicate human life development outside of the womb.
We call it the miracle of life because, yes, it's something beautiful, the ability to form a new...
Magical.
It's not... You say magical as in, oh, it's beautiful, it's an incredible thing that happens, of course. But it's not incredible in the sense we don't know what's going on. There's no new DNA coming out of nowhere.
Hold on, but time out. Isn't there a separate DNA, though, than the mother? Like,
yes, from the father.
Okay, yes, but it's not the father's DNA either. A new coding is created.
Charlie,
you are a blend of the two. And so when did your life begin?
Okay, so
when did your life begin?
I mean, again, this comes from what you define as where life starts. You can say life starts at conception, but I'm telling you, I believe that's just an arbitrary point, right? That's just the moment these two cells fuse. Now, you say about this mother thing. So the way DNA is arranged in a cell is it's arranged in chromosomes. Chromosomes are paired up, so you have one from the mother, one from the father, typically, in a healthy individual, right? Now, you can take those maternal chromosomes out and you can find that this is who the person's mother is. And you can do the same with the father. Now, the reason you are different to your mother and father is because some of those chromosomes express genes that are different from each other. And so those genes interact and that's what gives rise to you, right? But there's no space for any kind of moral framework to come into that until you consider that a human being is capable of consciousness and of suffering. But if you take that out of the equation, the fact that these two DNA, whatever they call molecules, right? These two DNA molecules are fusing, that does not suddenly flip a switch that attributes moral worth to that individual.
That man just didn't know what he was talking about, you all. He just didn't know what he was talking about, and it's really sad to watch. And it's even sadder to know that foolish people thought that he was a genius and that he knew what he was talking about. Here's the thing. He was trying to, I think that when he was talking about the mother's DNA and then a new DNA is created, I'm thinking perhaps that he was talking about mitochondrial DNA because we know that only comes from the mother, not the father. But to his question, does a zygote have a unique marker? Yeah, it does. But a zygote is actually formed when the sperm cell and the egg cell fuse together during fertilization, okay? And that is the mother and the father's DNA. So what is he talking about? Some new DNA. Okay, that combination of DNA is then known as the zygote's genome. So what's he talking about here? What are we doing here, Charlie Kirk? What are we doing? Making a fool of ourselves. That's what he was doing. Okay, making a fool of himself. Now, with that all being said, let's go to him debating a professor. This was an epic fail. And he was debating the professor, if I'm not mistaken, about Trump's foreign policy. Also, let me just say, I forgot to show the video about Trump and Pete Hegseth's military speech, but we'll do that in the morning. Okay, OG Patrice says, and also, thank you for your contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. But we will talk about that in the morning, okay? OG Patrice says, see how he deflects from answering the question asked of him to shifting a question back on the person asking the original question. He never answers the question. That's because he didn't know the answer. That's because he didn't know the answer, beloved. He flat out didn't know what he was talking about. Okay, he was exposed. He did not know what he was talking about. And there are plenty of times when Charlie Kirk, unfortunately, did not know what he was talking about. Okay, and the only people who thought that Charlie Kirk knew what he was talking about were people who just aren't that smart. Okay, and Charlie Kirk was debating, the youth, debating students for a reason. He wouldn't debate scholars. Well, on this occasion, he actually did debate a scholar, a Cambridge professor, and it didn't go well. And I want you all to really, really pay attention to this brief discussion. It's only like a minute and a half long, but it just goes to show how Charlie Kirk is just not or wasn't that smart. He literally was not that smart.
No, he can't hold an election.
Oh, wait, did Churchill hold an election during the war?
Because under his constitution...
Hold on, Lincoln held an election during the war. That's not true. He can call an election. He can call a snap election. He's full dictator of the country.
No.
Because he knows that the people of Ukraine would kick him out immediately because he's deeply unpopular. In fact, if he wanted to show a statement to the world, he would call an election and win by 80% and say, see, I'm super popular. So that's number one. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with a person being propped up as a government we're sending $200 billion to that refuses even to face his voters.
Okay, I can't agree with you factually on that at all. Okay. I mean, constitutionally, Ukraine is not able to hold an election because it's under military law at the moment, and that's just a matter of fact.
Again, he can, as a prime minister or president, he could do whatever he wants.
He can't.
Okay, all right, we're going to
He
just
can't
go back
sign
and
an
forth with each
executive
other.
order and change their constitution.
Okay.
Neither can the American president either, so
Okay.
hopefully there's a better...
He could even do a ceremonial election to see where he actually stands with the people.
I think we call those opinion polls.
Yes, and they're very negative.
Firmly ahead in the opinion.
Again, but you would agree that a person that holds on to power without the election of the sovereign is pretty questionable.
No, not in those circumstances.
Okay, then we disagree.
No, okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, he just further made a fool of himself right there. He did not even realize. And here's the thing. It's interesting because it just really goes to show this man was really stupid. Okay, I'm sorry. It's true. He said that Winston Churchill held an election and Lincoln held an election during times of war. That's in America. These people are in the UK and he's talking about Ukraine. He's talking about Zelensky, who's in Ukraine. What does that have to do with the American Constitution? Besides nothing. And also, as that professor said, Ukraine cannot hold an election because they're currently under military rule. They're under martial law. What is he talking about here? This is like crazy to me. Okay, and you have all these fools like Marlon Brown sitting there caping for this man. And then some people are so stupid and obtuse and so willing to cape for him, they won't even admit that he was a liar who lied. They'll just say, oh, well, lies are about, maybe he didn't know he was lying. Maybe he just misconstrued the facts. Maybe he just did. First of all, if you're going to these campuses, debating people, challenging people's intelligence, then you should do your due diligence and make sure you know what you're talking about before you enter into a debate. Because it may not turn out good for you. As we can see, these debates clearly didn't. Okay? At the end of the day, now let's go to one of my favorite ones where he really got flamed.
To be a Christian, I would have thought, Mr. Kirk, would never have involved suggesting that the price for an atrocity must be an infinite cycle of bloodlust, that innocent people and the young population must be killed to avenge some kind of providential quest. How can you call yourself a Christian? Well, you just did. I really cannot see how you come here and you have the gall to lecture us on Christian morality and then sit here and justify the murder of thousands of civilians in Gaza, to agree for Israel to invade the Gaza Strip and to continue to murder thousands of innocent children and civilians in a pointless war. Is that in America's interest? Is that in humanity's interest?
Well, first of all, you should know something about Trump. There's something, if you realize with Trump over the last 10 years, he is quite the social media user and uses hyperbolic language at times. But let me ask you, in the conflict of Israel versus Hamas, who's the good guy?
I believe both Hamas and the Israeli government are evil, but I think also that there is no justification.
Are they equally?
There is no justification for the murder and mutilation of thousands of innocent people and children.
Well, let's
futile.
Let's zero in on it.
There is no justification, Mr. Kirk, for invading hospitals, for bombing innocent populations and dragging out a war which is damaging Israel and the West security.
You've made that point, but
well, it's not a point, it's a moral truth, isn't it?
Okay, yeah. It was also a moral truth that the war started because 1,300 Jews were killed and 200 were taken hostage. And when you declare war on Israel, expect a firestorm in reaction. Let me finish, I let you talk. Israel, at its holiest day, honestly...
Isn't that the morality of a child?
Well, hold on. A child who knows that Israel is the good guy, Hamas is bad, has a lot more wisdom than a student like yourself at Cambridge University.
I will be glad that I will not have been somebody who has defended the genocide. And I think you will have to reckon one day that you have reckoned with...
Interesting. I want to close on this.
You are a culture warrior. I believe when everything is done, Mr. Kirk, people will see you and the people you supported as corrupt, as selling the country out to the lowest bidder, and of doing irreparable damage to a country I'm sure we all deep down love.
The difference...
I think you will have to reckon with that.
Difference,
Mr. Kirk,
is when...
Mic drop moments, okay? And then he walked off. Didn't even let him finish what he was going to say. I absolutely love that. Okay, I absolutely loved it. That was brilliant. So was that young man. Ginger spoke very eloquently. I call him Ginger because of his lovely red hair. Okay? I want y'all to pay attention. So with that all being said, I think it's safe to say that he got flamed on more than one occasion. Now, do y'all have time for one more? Hold on. Let's go to this one about the feminist conversation that he tried to have. It went so wrong, so quick.
So I'm a feminist. My question is about the role of women, though. What should women's role in public and private life look like, and what are the material benefits of that?
Well, thank you for that. Can I take it? I don't even want to take this detour, but can we both agree on what a woman is?
Yes. An
What is
adult human female is a biological state of being that is also socially experienced. Can I please elucidate just one example of that social experience?
Yeah, I was going to answer your question, but sure, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So let's say you're a member of a tribe, and that in that tribe, you have the biological female anatomy, and in order to become a woman in that tribe, you have to also get a tattoo. That's a social experience that's mapped onto biological reality.
So can a woman have a prostate?
Can a woman have a prostate? Biologically speaking, a woman is an adult human female that has a biological reality, but it's also social experience, right? So I don't...
Yeah, it's super easy. Like, can a woman have a prostate?
So as per my definition of woman, I would say that people who have a prostate are biologically male, but they can sometimes be socially treated as women.
Okay, got it. So women can have prostates. Got it. Okay. So you're a feminist that actually isn't just fighting for women, you're also fighting for men.
So, yes, men also experience harms from patriarchy, but I argue...
We're talking about the same feminism, though, just make sure. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So, men also experience harm from patriarchal domination, but I would argue that those harms come from that system of domination itself. In the same way, for example, this isn't a threat, but if I reached across and punched you in the face, then my hand might hurt. Right? So, are we understanding that there are, patterns of power? So, I would also fight for the rights of men as a feminist, just as I would fight for the rights of women.
Sure. You think women are happier than they were 40 years ago?
I think I would have a few responses to that. I think that women report more stress and dissatisfaction today because, not because they have more rights or because of feminism, but because they're under dual pressure to both excel professionally and also because of the domestic labour in homes that is structured around outdated expectations. So, for example, studies like the OECD's Better Life Index show that women's life expectancy, education levels, professional achievements have risen in countries with higher gender inequality. So I would argue that what you're calling unhappiness is actually visibility, because now we hear women expressing dissatisfaction, whereas in the 50s, we prescribed them Valium and we lobotomized.
Yeah. That's really rich. I didn't know women not to complain 50 years ago. That's funny. No, hold on a second. Why are suicide rates going up more for women?
I think that
Forget
encourages...
complaining. Materially, women are killing themselves more. Why is that?
I think that even if both men and women have become unhappier, men's suicide rates have risen as well, and that's also been exponential. Can you at least concede that feminism offers only one potential explanation? There could be also other explanations.
Of course, obviously, but feminism is the glaring thing in front of us, where we have fertility rates down, we have marriage rates down, we have unhappiness up, and we did something in the 1960s out of the universities of Brady Friedan and Gloria Steinem and all these feminists that basically said, you're trapped in a home, go get a job, freeze your eggs, take birth control, and all of a sudden women are way unhappier than they were 40 years ago. And I just have to ask the question, why is that? Is it working? And maybe there are biological differences between men and women that we should respect, and that deep down a lot of women want to get married and have children. In fact, we should applaud it, and we should support it, and we should say it means nothing if you're going to go be a CEO of some shoe company or be some banker in London. What matters if you raise children and you have something to pass down long after you're gone.
I think I would bring 2 points to that. The first one is just really simple, which is that you can ascribe liberalism all you want as the cause of the unhappiness. I would argue something else. I would say that it's certain economic policy that has very little to do with the social acceptance of alternative lifestyles. I would say that we can recognise that income inequality across a vast swathe of Western countries has increased, which causes all kinds of social ills, a lack of social cohesion, housing price growth doesn't correspond with wage growth, monopolies increasingly become kind of emboldened to interfere with politics, and monopolies don't prioritise social health either. I think that those offer more compelling reasons for a decline in happiness than an increase in freedoms, because just one more thing, on an intuitive basis, generally speaking, people want more freedom, not less.
Okay, so if that's true, why is it, do you agree that the happiest women of the West are married with kids?
I would have to look into it, but I think there are certain...
Right. And objectively, we know that, right? The women with kids are not the ones tearing down statues, right? They're the ones that actually have obligations.
Does tearing down statues correspond to some kind of smiles per capita data set that I wasn't aware of?
Again, it's like, it's a little bit of a one-liner. The happy and the grateful... The happy and the grateful usually don't go burn down Wendy's in their spare time, of which we saw in our country all throughout a single summer. But as a side note, you would agree, objectively, study after study, survey after survey, that the women of the West that are married and have children, especially a lot of children, are far happier than even the ones that earn more money correlated at the same age.
So I also...
Hold on, you all. I'm trying to fact check something real quick. Now, so he kept talking about being happy and unhappy. Someone asked the question, why is he talking about that? Because he was trying to throw her off. He was trying to take her off her game. That had nothing to do with the conversation about feminism. Okay, nothing whatsoever. All right. Now, here's the thing. He said that women that are married are happier. They're not throwing down statues or whatever he brought up. So I asked ChatGPT, are married women less likely to commit suicide than unmarried women? In general, research has consistently shown that married women tend to have lower suicide rates than unmarried women. Okay, due to social support stability and health behaviors. That said, the quality of marriage matters. Women in abusive or extremely unhappy marriages can have higher suicide risk than single women. Okay, so it can go either way, basically. But I will give him credit for that. He was at least right in that point. Okay, but here's the thing. As it pertains to feminism, I think it was D Major who said that he was a feminist. Yeah, men can be feminists. It's funny because me and my friend were just having a conversation about this days ago. Men can absolutely be feminists because feminism is just basically saying that you believe in equal and just treatment, okay, without discrimination or discriminatory practices. You believe that men and women should be treated equally, okay? So Mama Joycelyn says Candace had that same talking point on Jubilee. She said women were happier in the 50s staying home and taking care of the kids. Well, you know, if that's how she feels, why isn't she staying at home and taking care of her damn kids? Set out here working. I have questions, Candace. Okay, I have questions. Now, with that all being said, I think we can move on and talk about his wife and the things that are being said about her. So I find it all interesting. Let's get into it. Where do I want to start? Okay, let's start right here. Did y'all know Charlie Kirk's wife has allegedly, let me see if I can fact check this real quick. Hold on. All right, so let's talk about it because I just fact checked to see if Erika Kirk was banned from Romania because that's what they're saying. Fact-checking claims that Erika Kirk's charity is tied to trafficking. A conservative activist, Erika Kirk, publicly mourned her husband, Charlie Kirk. Social media users targeted her work on a Romanian charity project. And I think it was called Romanian Angels or something like that. As conservative activist Charlie Kirk publicly mourned, or Erika Kirk publicly mourned her husband. Okay, they went in on her. Did y'all know Erika Kirk is banned from Romania because her evangelical group was accused of trafficking children out of Romanian villages? One self-described leftist said September the 23rd on X. Another post from an X user whose bio encouraged people to vote blue, said Erika Kirk is banned from Romania due to trafficking allegations. Just saying, that's what they posted. A PolitiFact reader also texted us to ask if a charity Kirk ran was accused of child trafficking in Romania. Kirk, whose maiden name is France V, founded the nonprofit organization Everyday Heroes Like You, which aimed to assist other charities. That work included an international Romanian Angels project that teamed up with the U.S. Marine Corps to sponsor a Romanian orphanage. Okay, and she once told Arizona Foothills magazine this information. What's the evidence of these claims? Well, they say there isn't any. Some posts repeated the baseless narrative without giving any hints about where it originated. One of the earliest posts we found, dated September 16th, said Kirk's organization had links to missing Romanian children and trafficking and included screenshots and two articles. The first, a 2001 report from the Israeli newspaper Haaretz was about a Romanian investigation into adoption agencies and an international conspiracy, okay, to sell children for organs and transplants. That did not mention Erika Kirk or her organization, Romanian Angels. Okay, the second was an article from 2023 from Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, a media organization founded by the US that reports internationally, including in Romania. It detailed the stories of Romanian children, now adults, who were adopted internationally and who've sought information on their Romanian birth families, including some people who included they were trafficked as children. This report also did not mention Kirk or Romanian angels or everyday heroes like you. Okay, so they're saying that they fact checked it. Now, you know what I feel about these fact checkers. I don't believe what they say most of the time. Okay, I just don't. So, with that all being said, let's go to what these people are saying. Because here's the thing. This is what I find interesting about Erika Kirk. Now, I'm not saying she was involved in any of that stuff, but what I will say is this. She supposedly knew Donald Trump, okay, because she was in a pageant, Miss Arizona pageant. She was Miss Arizona and a Miss USA or some pageant or whatever, but that Donald Trump headed. And so she knew Trump, and supposedly Trump is the one who introduced her to Charlie Kirk. Okay, so let's get into it. Likes up, everyone. Please do not forget to like and share. Thank you.
She went to Romania and started Romania's Angels, which was an organization to help orphans in Romania. That organization was implicated in sex trafficking of children, specifically to the US military bases.
Lately, I've had people ask me, yo, why are you going so hard on this Charlie Kirk situation on YouTube? The answer is virtually everything is sex trafficking. And I told somebody this, and they was like, but Charlie Kirk is a dude. Well, you gotta think about this. Who did Charlie Kirk have influence over? Young college kids. But whenever a person begins to get a substantial amount of influence over young people, somebody's gonna come and visit you. Charlie Kirk had a handler named Bill Montgomery. Even me, if I started going to colleges and debating young people about single motherhood as an example, if I was to amass a huge influence with the college students, I myself would get visited by somebody looking to offer me $5 or $10 million to do what? It wouldn't be a sponsorship. It would just be money to get me to do something. And at some point, if I don't ask any questions about why they're offering me $5 and $10 million, they won't even tell me. And if I started doing what they wanted me to do, everything will be okay. But what happened with Charlie Kirk, in my opinion, is he started turning down the money when he realized what they wanted him to do. And once you accept the money, you can't turn down the money, because once you accept the money, you're actually a part of the scheme. See, the first amount, 2 million, 5 million, maybe 10 million, is the beginning to see if you're okay with what they're doing. But
Okay, so now you all may remember that Candace said that he was offered $150 million. Okay, so he turned down that money, basically, is what he was saying. Okay, but let's continue. Some of these videos are a little lengthy, so I'll cut them short. Okay, let me just take this overlay off really quick.
So I went down the Erika Kirk rabbit hole, and let me just say, if any of this is true, then this is insane. Let me start off by saying that this is all allegedly. So a lot of people have been raising questions about Erika Kirk ever since the memorial, and then the one video she put out addressing the nation about Charlie Kirk, and then the picture she posted with him in the casket caused people to do a bunch of digging about her. Just seem very disingenuous. So apparently she used to run an orphanage in Romania, and it was a Christian orphanage. And allegedly a lot of kids went missing. A lot of kids who came into that orphanage went missing. With her ties to you-know-who, his ties to you-know-who, a lot of people are speculating that those kids were trafficked. Because she won Miss Arizona in 2012, which was co-owned by Donald Trump. I remember Erika Kirk and Donald Trump, they have history. They've been knowing each other. But here's another thing. She is allegedly banned from Romania. He was kicked out of Romania. Orphanage closed down. And among that, a lot of people are speculating that the one video was AI or it was a reptilian and it wasn't really her and she was in on it. And there's allegedly TikTok, allegedly, this rabbit hole goes really deep when you start to look. All I'm saying is that there's a lot of things that look fishy, okay? And these are the things that are being put out there. And so I do think it is strange. A lot of people were saying that she was bro's handler, allegedly, and he knew something. She was there to watch him and she knew something and she had to pull the plug or tell people about, you know what I mean? This is all alleged. TikTok, this is alleged. This is people's conspiracy. I'm not saying any of this is true. This is all allegedly for entertainment purposes only. If none of this is true, let her.
All right. People have a lot to say.
So how have we gone from this?
That young man. I forgive him.
Which was the 21st of September, and now 7 days later, we get this.
Nothing is changing, but I want to preface, we're not awkward. We're not like weird. We're not cringe. We're not going to be tweeting as if it's him. That's tone deaf and really disturbing. And anyone who does that's like morbidly off.
Hey, we're going to be doing about 5 more episodes a week now. So just tell the team and make sure that happens.
3 hours of this, 2 more hours of podcasting.
There is just something that just doesn't feel right. It feels wrong. It feels off. And I am trying so hard not to over speculate, but it's hard when stuff like this is being put out to us. It's just not normal. It doesn't feel natural. I feel like we're watching a performance. It's almost like we're watching a movie unfold right in front of our eyes. And it's things like this that make me think that Charlie Kirk's assassination is so much bigger than we could ever imagine.
Yep. There's definitely more to it than meets the eye. And I told you all from day one that I felt like it was an inside job. I saw it coming, quite frankly.
Erika Kirk is, and I mean really wondered who Erika Kirk is, because if you have, then you first need to start at who her mother is, aka Lori Franzweg. So Lori is the principal chief executive officer and founder of E3 Tech Group, okay? It is a company specializing in computer and network security. A company whose clients include the Department of Defense and NASA. But she's also the founder of not only AZ Tech, but also a subsidiary named G Tech. As for her husband, aka Erika's father, his name is Kent. Yes, that is his real name. It is alleged, let me just make that very clear, that he was involved with isn't real related divisions. If you know, you know. Through AZ Tech subcontracting for the defense contractor Raytheon. Also, you should know they obviously have a special little partner. I'm sure you can guess who that is, but if you can't, let me just put this up on the screen for you real quick so you can read. Just read that for me real quick. This is on E3. This is on.
Hold on, let me scroll this back so I can read it. It says Microsoft has terminated a set of services for the Israeli military after an investigation suggested they were using the company's cloud computing technology for mass surveillance of Palestinians.
This is on E3 Tech's website. So just, read that for me real quick as well. I'm not going to read it out loud, obviously. But I'm sure you get the point that I'm trying to make here. And if you don't, hold on. This is what E3 Tech has labeled as their focused on their website. What? You're telling me Erika Kirk's mother is the CEO of... Who would have thought? Actually, I would, considering the nonprofit that Erika Kirk actually set up. It was called Everyday Heroes Like You, Inc. If you don't know about that one, you should probably go look into that one. I'm not even sure I can 100% talk about that. But it's been taxing since 2009. But then again, there's so much more to this entire situation, because when you just so happen to look into a movie called Snake Eyes, well, actually, I'm going to save that for the next video so my algorithm doesn't get suppressed, because that's a lot of shit to put into one video. But I definitely will be posting that video either tonight or tomorrow morning, or you could just go look into it for yourself. It's actually rather intriguing. I never really connected the dots, but once people started to and I start looking into it deeper, I was like, is that a coincidence?
Very interesting. I'm gonna definitely go look into that. Okay, now Mama Joyce said if CK was given 6 months to live, then I can understand, but he was unalived unexpectedly and in a gruesome way. Where is the shock? Exactly. Okay, exactly. Where is the shock? It seems like they got over that pretty quick, if you ask me, sitting there laughing and cracking jokes days later. Okay.
Take a look at Miss Thing over here on the Charlie Kirk show now, and tell me if this is someone that looks like she's in mourning.
In a way that always keeps Charlie first and his dreams alive and his legacy going. And what's so beautiful is to see all of you step in and do that. And so part of the reason why I agreed to come on, because this is not going to be a forever thing of me being on hosting the show, was because I gave assurance to people that Turning Point USA is continuing, and it is.
What the fuck was that? So anyway, I hit up Chat GBT to see if there was a autopsy report on Charlie Kirk yet, and could not locate. Is Charlie Kirk even buried yet? I couldn't find. Shocker.
You don't get to ask those questions.
So remember this private jet N888KG that took off after his alleged murder? Yeah, by the way, whenever it says fact check, most likely it's the truth. So I think Charlie Kirk hopped on that jet, and then your boy Patel gave you a hint in the news.
To my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
Does he mean this island here? It's an expression. There's no island named Valhalla. Yeah? Then what the hell is this? Valhalla. Is that where you are, Charlie? With the fam and the 2 adopted kids? And left this one behind? TikTok, I'm only entertaining them. Just my humble opinion. Wake up!
Okay, so you all heard what that man said, honey. That's very interesting. Okay, that is absolutely very interesting. Now, I'm going to do a bit of research while you all check out this next video, because I have to know something real quick. Hold on.
Y'all, Candace just called out Charlie Kirk's wife.
I do want to assert here that I'm uncomfortable with the fact that despite all of the friends that Charlie Kirk made, all the schmoozing that he did, presidents, right, department heads, I am the only person that is publicly demanding further investigation into his assassination. Why? It's totally rubbing me the wrong way. Something's not right here. Even Turning Point USA, they're just like, we've accepted. Like, obviously, there are holes in this narrative, and they're just like, we're gonna just keep up his show. What is going on, actually? I just want to say that and get it off of my chest. I don't like it. Throwing it to some of our sponsors. I tell you all the time about preborn because I've watched way too many people standing up for truth. That's what I do here.
She took over Turning Point USA. Charlie Kirk's wife took it over. She's talking about her. Yeah, Erika, she is exposing a lot of things. Why aren't you asking questions?
Okay, so what I went to do while you are watching that was to see if there is an island called Valhalla. It says, no, there is no literal island called Valhalla in the real world. Valhalla is a mythological hall in Norse mythology, right? But then it says Valhalla is a magically hidden island located somewhere in the Indian Ocean. So it's giving me 2 answers. To be honest, I never heard of this island until that guy said it in that video. Hold on, let me just check something real quick. And while I'm checking, let me give you all another video to watch. Here we go. We put an overlay on here in case this video is also on YouTube.
Look at this face. As of the recording of this video, we're only 16 days out from a supposedly brutal, horrific assassination of the love of her life, of the father of her two children. And she's acting like it kind of didn't happen. Are we going to hear about the Romanian angels situation? Are we going to hear her address what some people are saying, that she's been banned from Romania for a certain thing that people are accusing her of? 16 days out. I would expect this maybe from somebody 16 months out. But I have grandparents and I know people, and you probably do too, that still mourn the loss of a loved one who wasn't taken during a horrific assassination or some kind of unexpected accident, something where maybe a loved one was struggling with cancer for a couple of years, going through chemotherapy, and the doctor's like, well, get your things in order because so-and-so only has 6 months or 12 months. And even after that, you don't recover like this. Even after preparing yourself 16 days out from the actual demise of the individual that you say you love, am I tripping? Or is this as bizarre to you as it is to me?
I mean, you could say that people grieve differently, what have you. But honestly, just a few days later, she looked like she was in good spirits to me. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, okay, here is somebody with a deep dive into the Romanian angels and the U.S. military, a deep dive. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, listen. I don't know if I want to play that video because I don't know if she said anything in there that could be problematic because I didn't listen to it. And also, it's about 8 minutes long, so I'm going to skip past that. I'll listen to it later. If it's something that I think you all should hear, then I'll play it another time. But let's talk about Nick Fuentes, who really was Charlie Kirk's rival. But even he came out and said something about Charlie Kirk's wife and her strange behavior. Also, don't you all find it interesting that they're basically campaigning and they're out here collecting and raising millions of dollars after Charlie Kirk's death, talking about putting him on a gold coin and all of these things? Don't y'all find that interesting? It seems like this is all about political gain. Are they even sad that this man is gone? I mean, really, are they even sad that this man is dead? Because to me, it seems like they're kind of glad. Okay, specifically Trump. Trump was sitting there at the game dancing to YMCA. Okay, brushed off reporters when they asked how he was doing and started talking about the new ballroom they were building at the White House. Okay, so I find all of these behaviors very strange, to say the least. But let's hear what Nick Fuentes, with his wanton supremacist self, has to say.
It's like, lady, didn't your husband just get his face blown off like 2 seconds ago? And not to be insensitive about it, but everyone's thinking it. No one wants to be the asshole. No one wants to say it. Everyone's thinking it. Everyone was thinking it when she gave the first speech. Everyone was definitely thinking it at the memorial. Nobody wants to say it because it's inappropriate. It's insensitive. I am the troll, right? So I'll be the one to say it. I think it's super inappropriate. I think it's inappropriate. I think it's weird. It's bizarre. Something is off there, and I don't like it. But they're doing the Super Bowl commentators with the headsets on, doing a media table. They're selling merch, registering voters. They got pyrotechnics. Is this WrestleMania or is this a funeral? Like, what are we doing here? And then the day after the funeral, I'm getting 500 texts and emails. Erika Kirk here. I miss him. Every time I blink, every beat of my heart. Make sure to donate $5, $15, $25. It's like, okay. Then they're doing a show. Did you see the show today? And so prescient. I said it last night. I said, I'm getting like a fake vibe. Something's off there. And people say, well, everybody grieves differently. Yeah, I don't know how much mileage we can get out of that one anymore. Something's not right there. Very bizarre, weird vibe there. And did you see the show? Erika hosted the Charlie Kirk show this afternoon, and she's like, she looks like she's over the moon. She's happy as a clam. And again, who am I to judge? Everybody grieves differently. She's a very devout Christian. Some people say maybe that's just strength, that's resolve. I don't know. It's one thing if your husband dies, period. It's another thing if your husband dies at age 31, unexpectedly. It's another thing if your 31-year-old husband unexpectedly dies because he gets publicly executed with blood gushing out in front of thousands of people screaming and running away. That's like something that's altogether different.
Y'all heard that? Now, this is somebody who didn't even like Charlie Kirk, but even he came out and said that he thought it was very suspicious. Okay? Very suspicious behavior. Okay? All that stuff they were doing at the funeral was ghastly. All right? It was absolutely ghastly. Okay? If y'all remember, those of you who tuned in, I showed some of it on live. Okay? They were absolutely registering people to vote, collecting money, and all of that. Okay, it looked more like it was a political rally. That's what it looked like. It looked like a political rally, not a funeral. And look where they held it and everything. So I find it all very interesting. So, we'll see what comes of it. Whether these things about the Romanian organization will be substantiated or not, I don't know. Probably not, because usually when stuff like this comes out, we don't ever get to the truth. But I find it interesting because, yes, she was friends with Trump before she even knew Charlie. And in fact, they say that Charlie was introduced to her by Trump, which makes me think that maybe she was his handler. Was she Charlie's handler? Because that's what it's given right about now. Okay, but that's my opinion. Now, you all make sure you like and share the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Also, please double check to make sure you're still subscribed, especially if you have not been receiving notifications. And I will see you all in the morning. Okay, that's right. DeCarlo said business as usual. Exactly. Okay, exactly. And so with that all been said, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Okay? And I'm going to see if I can find any more updates on the Romika case and also updates about the David situation in the morning. And we'll talk about Trump and that speech. Okay? So anyway, love you all to life. Make sure you keep the Most High first in your lives, and I will talk to you all again soon. Until next time, beloveds. Peace.
Hey, yo, Nick, hit him with that flavor. Sold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen,